Over the past 7 days, a lot has taken place in the crypto market that you need to be aware of. If you hold any Bitcoin, XRP, HBAR, Ondo, SUI, or virtually any other altcoin, in this video, we're going to talk about what's taking place on the charts with this breakout, with Bitcoin sitting just barely under $95,000, seeing a massive recovery since the 9th of April of over 27%. With the Federal Reserve saying banks are now free to use crypto, the SEC Chairman Paul Atkins saying that crypto deserves clear regulations, and massive developments happening for some of the top cryptocurrencies that are USA projects. In this video, we're going to break down exactly what's coming next in this market cycle and what you can do to be able to make as much money as possible. So if you hold any crypto and you like making money, then comment 777 if you're feeling blessed, if you're feeling bullish, and if you're going to become the first millionaire in your family tree, confirm it by tapping the subscribe button. Let's run it. All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. So over the past week, we've seen a nice recovery in the market. SUI's up 66% over the past 7 days. HBAR is up nearly 20%. Ondo's up nearly 20% as well too. Whereas XRP is up only 5%. So what gives? Well, we're gonna get into that in this video, but first we're doing an XRP giveaway. If you guys wanna win $100 worth of XRP, go follow us on X at BULLRUNNERS HQ. We're crushing it on YouTube, but we're slacking a little bit on Twitter or X here. So we only have 13,700 followers. Let's see if we can get over 14,000 by the end of this video. And all you need to do is like the post on Twitter, comment XRP below, and then sign up for Blowfin using our affiliate link. And then we're going to announce the winners on our daily video newsletter this Sunday, which by the time you're watching this video is tomorrow. So you have 24 hours, really simple. Click the link below. Check it out because we're going to announce the winners on our daily video newsletter. And you can also get a free ebook too. You just enter in your best email address so we know where to send it. And I'll leave that link in the description below. But check this out, guys. The Federal Reserve is saying that banks are now free to use crypto and XRP. I don't think people understand how bullish this actually is.
This is interesting, guys, because the Fed said it was withdrawing supervisory letters that said that banks should seek advance approval from authorities before engaging in crypto asset and stablecoin activities. In addition, the Fed, the FDIC, and the Office of the Controllers of the Currency pulled back statements from 2023 that urged banks to be careful when it comes to crypto-related risks. During the 2024 campaign for the White House, President Trump promised crypto investors that he would have their backs if he was reelected. In a statement announcing the latest changes, the Fed said that regulators would look into whether new guidance to support crypto asset innovation was appropriate. But it means effectively that I think a lot of those letters had scared the banking system sort of out of getting meaningfully involved in crypto. And now they're saying, do what you like.
So at this point, guys, crypto is about to go full mainstream. If banks all across the United States are getting the green light, so the first crypto that's going to see the effect of that is obviously Bitcoin. And so we've seen Bitcoin break past the 0.5 retracement level, and it just tapped off of the 0.618. The next stop for Bitcoin, if we push higher in the short term, would be 702 or 786, anywhere between $99,000 to about $102,000 before Bitcoin would most likely make a correction in the short term. So if we look back here, when Bitcoin broke out from $38,000 in January of 2024, we went all the way up to a 0.5 retracement. And then we saw Bitcoin sell back off to $41,000 and consolidate for about 8 days before breaking out again to a new high. So at some point, like I said in my previous videos, I would expect Bitcoin to pull back. And it's impossible to know exactly when that's going to happen, but we look at confluence in the past, and we also pair that up with key indicators to get the best entry points. Because if we pull up the stochastic RSI and we look at when the K line, the D line were below 20, well, the most recent time was all the way back here on the 7th of April to like the 9th of April when Bitcoin was all the way down here. The time before then, Bitcoin was about $81,000. And so a lot of the times you don't want to buy something when the stochastic RSI on like the daily chart or even the weekly chart just dips below 20 for the first time, because a lot of the time we see fake out rallies and liquidity traps followed by a lower low on the price chart. And so what that looks like, if I zoom in here for you guys, on the right hand side of the screen, when Bitcoin dropped from $88,000 all the way down to about $81,000, look at what happened on the stochastic RSI. We experienced a bearish cross by like the 27th of March, and we broke all the way down here below 20. And then we saw the price chart make a bounce all the way up here, and it wicked off of $88,000, which was a massive bull trap because the price got rejected from the previous range high, which was the 24th of March, for a lower high. So we didn't see a trend reversal here. And then the price continued all the way down here to the low to about $74,600. And so the stochastic RSI experienced a bullish cross, confirmed it by passing above 20. but because we didn't see the price chart clear previous high, we're still in a downtrend. So you don't want to enter until you have confirmation on the price chart of a trend reversal, which is clearing of a previous high, holding as support. And although we had confirmation of a bullish cross, we didn't have confirmation of a trend reversal. So this is when you stack multiple signals and indicators together. So you're not just relying on one thing. We look for confluence. When multiple things are saying the same thing, then that's a good sign to enter. And so the stochastic RSI broke all the way back down here again. We saw a lower low on the price chart, and it's very similar to what happened all the way back here from January 11th of 2024 to January 23rd. We saw a breakdown the price chart all the way down here to about $41,000. We saw a bearish cross on the stochastic RSI come all the way back down here to 1 for the K line. We see a short-term temporary recovery, relief rally, which led us to a bullish cross. It wasn't confirmed because it didn't pass above 20, but it brought the K line back to like 19 or 20. And then the price broke down for a lower low, and the stochastic RSI rolled back over again. And so what does that mean for what's happening right now? Because on the right-hand side of the screen, well, the stochastic RSI has broken all the way up here, and now the K line and the D line are at 100. And Bitcoin cleared the previous range high of about $87,000 for a trend reversal. It also cleared this resistance, which was support since the 25th of November till we broke down on the 24th of February. So this was a very strong support, guys, because for 90 days, Bitcoin held above, the $91,000, $92,000 region, which simultaneously is the 0.5 retracement level, where Bitcoin got rejected from back here on the 30th of January on the recovery. So on the left-hand side of the screen, look at what happened on the recovery on the stochastic RSI. We broke all the way up here to like 98, and then we experienced a bearish cross on the 30th of January. And when we experience a bearish cross above 80, it doesn't mean that the stochastic RSI is just going to come down right away, back down to 20. We can stay above 80 for an extended period of time while the bulls remain in control. So what we want to look for here in the short term is a bearish cross above 80, bringing the stochastic RSI down a little bit. As you guys can see, if I zoom in here on the left-hand side of the screen, when we experienced this bearish cross right here at about 96 on like the 29th and 30th of January, the stochastic RSI and the K line came all the way back down to 80 and 82 respectively while the price consolidated. And so that's what I would want to see in the short term, is for the K line and the D line to come down a little bit. They're both at 100. This is not the best time to be entering into Bitcoin. Even though Bitcoin could technically push up a little bit higher to a 702 or 786, which is $99,000 or $102,000, at some point there should be a pullback in Bitcoin, unless we do something like what happened here from the 7th of February until the 12th of February, and Bitcoin just rips all the way past the all-time high. Then a major pullback happens, like what happened all the way up here on the 15th of February to the 23rd of February. But the most likely case scenario, although anything's possible, is for Bitcoin to pull back here soon. And when that happens, we're going to be watching the stochastic RSI on the daily chart, and we're going to see if it stays above 80 while the price consolidates for a little bit. Because I would want to see the price hold on top of this $92,000 support, and ideally, we would want to see another push higher to like $98,000, $90,000 before we see this pullback and the price consolidate. But on the weekly, this is actually really good because the K line is now at 36. We passed above 20. The D line is right at 20. So we want to see a weekly close by the 28th of April in about 3 days, where the D line in orange passes above 20. And then depending on the candle body close, we're going to watch and see what the pullback looks like. If the weekly does not hold this zone right here and we continue higher into the next week, and we see an aggressive bearish candle come in here to bring the price back down to about $86,000, then I'll explain a little bit how that could hit the altcoin market, with altcoins like SUI breaking out, HBAR seeing a bounce, Ondo seeing a bounce, and even how that would affect XRP. But first, let's look at the Bitcoin stock to flow model on the macro, and let's see how we're looking in terms of the days until the next halving, because I've shown you guys this in so many videos, and you can see the model variant here in red and green. When the price has been at an all-time high, we've been above 0 on the model variant in red during the last few bull market cycles. And with this pullback right here, we're seeing the model variant all the way at negative 1.46. We have never been that low in history based on this current model right here for the stock to flow, which is a sign that Bitcoin has been drastically oversold during this consolidation phase. Also, if we zoom in here, we're transitioning from orange to yellow. And I said this previous times that right between 1,000 to 1,200 days, when we transition from orange to yellow and then we get closer to light yellow and light green, this is where we see the biggest move in the market. And then we top out at light green every single bull market cycle at the end. So if we go all the way back here to the 2017, when we transitioned from orange to yellow, we were all the way over here. Look what happened after that when we turned to yellow and then went to light green. We saw a massive breakout to the stock to flow line, followed by another consolidation period, massive breakout, consolidation period, then finally the all-time high before we went into a bear market. And this is what we had to look forward to for the rest of the bull run. We went well above the stock to flow line by like $15,000. The model price was at $3,700, whereas Bitcoin's price got up to nearly $20,000. Now for this cycle, that doesn't mean that Bitcoin's gonna get past the model line. That's at like $370,000. But if we get just halfway there, that's around $200,000. So I would expect leading into the end of this year, Bitcoin to break out into a new all-time high and for the entire altcoin market to follow. Now, one altcoin that we need to watch closely is XRP, because when Bitcoin pulls back, I would expect that to cause a pullback in XRP. We have not seen XRP break this downtrend yet decisively, because as you can see, since this high right here on the 16th of January, we're just still in this downtrend. Sure, we've broken out from $1.60 and we're just sitting at $2.20, but that doesn't mean XRP won't pull back when Bitcoin sees a pullback, because if we trace up the Wyckoff event next to XRP, if Bitcoin pushes higher in the short term to $99,000 to $102,000 before a pullback, I would expect XRP to, come up between $2.40 to $2.50. But on that pullback for Bitcoin, I think we're still in phase B of the Wyckoff. And what that would look like would be a rejection from these resistance lines, which is a previous range high of the 18th of March. So this is the major resistance that we need to watch for XRP. And until we clear that resistance, we're still going to be in a ranging market / downtrend until we go into phase D, which is the SOS phase. And so I think the spring is coming for XRP. And what that would look like on the price chart is for XRP to make a move back into this zone, get rejected from it, and then for us to range leading into June for either a higher low or a lower low for the spring phase in phase C. And then we finally see the breakout for XRP to clear this range, hold it as support for the SOS phase, and then finally phase E for the breakout to a new high later on this summer. And I know that's not what you want to hear, but this is what you need to be ready for, because so many people are going to get extremely bullish when XRP gets closer to $2.50, but they don't realize that Bitcoin in the past week has experienced this massive bullish candle. When people start buying into candles like this, those are the types of people that get wrecked, and then we go through these longer consolidation periods before we see breakouts to the upside, causing a lot of people to panic who bought here and sell out on the pullback, calling crypto a scam, when in reality they didn't subscribe to the channel, they didn't watch these videos, and they only buy when everyone's buying and everyone's excited. And then when you look at indicators like the stochastic RSI, well, we just experienced a bearish cross above 80 in overbought conditions for XRP while the price is still in a downtrend. So yes, in the short term, we could see XRP move higher, but the smartest thing to do is watch these indicators and accumulate when we are in oversold conditions on macro trend reversals. So I would expect the stochastic RSI to stay above 80 for an extended period of time until XRP tops out. Then once we see that pullback for XRP and that consolidation, I would want to see this stochastic RSI come all the way back down below 20 to consider accumulating more XRP. Because if we look back to the breakout that took place from this downtrend on the 21st of August of 2017, XRP had been putting in lower highs since the 17th of May of 2017. We finally broke and closed above it right here on the 22nd of August with this massive price spike all the way up here to like 30 cents. And sure enough, the stochastic RSI went from all the way down here below 5 all the way upwards above 80. We experienced a bearish cross, and then the price coiled up while the stochastic RSI reset all the way down here below 20, and the price even pulled back even further, back down to back test the low of the 19th of August that XRP was at prior to the breakout. And then the stochastic RSI came all the way back down here for the best entry point, rebounding off of this key low right here at about 15 cents. Then we saw the stochastic RSI rally all the way back above 80 again while the price experienced another breakout. Then we see this bearish cross, the price comes back down again, rinse and repeat. The stochastic RSI comes back down again below 20. Then we start another breakout all the way up here. On the way up, there's some volatility in the stochastic RSI. As you can see, it comes above 80, drops back down to 50, back above 80 again, stays above 80 for an extended period of time. Bearish cross right here, about 28 cents. One final drop down for the stochastic RSI back below 20. And then massive explosion to the upside for a breakout. So these consolidations can last for a period of time, guys. That's why you don't just buy into a breakout like what you saw happen right here, because then you're left to go through this grueling, exhausting washing machine price action here where the price goes up, it goes down, and you just don't know what's going to happen next if you're just looking at the price chart right here. So when we pair it up with something like the stochastic RSI, you guys can get better entry points, because if I just clear the chart right here and I circle the points when the stochastic RSI is all the way down at the lowest levels, well, you can see that it's just a fact that you're getting the best possible entry points like a pro trader here. And I can simply just draw this zone of support right here for where I would need to see the stochastic RSI dip back into for me to be able to buy. That way I don't miss key opportunities, because if you just draw a zone of support right here on the price chart, well, as you can see, you would have only accumulated on the 15th of September and like the 19th of August, but you would have missed this entry point right here on the 23rd of October. You also would have missed this entry point on the 8th of December because XRP was putting in higher lows in this uptrend before the breakout. So that's why we need to pair it with the stochastic RSI with horizontal supports below 20 at previous levels that both the K line and the D line have dipped to. So for example, since like the 5th of December, the lowest low that the K line has come to is like 0.01, pretty much close to 0. And if I were to draw up here to about 7 to 8, if I want to get more aggressive and I don't really care about getting the best entry point, but relative on the macro, I could draw it up to 10 for horizontal support for where my buy zone would be on the macro. And I just create a strategy for myself where I only accumulate XRP when the K line and the D line are in this zone. And if I just put a date range here for when we dipped into that zone to how long it took to finally break out of that zone to the upside, we can see that it varies between 3 days, we have 12 days, 13 days, 27 days. So that tells me that I don't want to just buy the first day that it gets into the zone to get a better entry point, because if I just mark up with a vertical line when we first dipped into that zone on the price chart, on each of these major pullbacks, you can see that I'm not really getting the best entry point. Like right here is at $2.26. The price dipped down to $1.90. Even right here, I would have been buying at $3. I would have been buying at $2.20. And then the price dipped down to $1.90. I would have been buying at $2.18, and then the price came down to $1.60. Or if instead I look for things like divergences, I also look for confluence on other charts for the relative strength index to come back within a zone of support as well too, then I can get better entry points. Because as you can see right here, when the price dipped down to $1.94, well, the RSI was all the way up here at 32. So if I just draw a horizontal ray right there, you could see while the stochastic RSI for K line and the D line were below 10 when the price was right here at $2.15, the relative strength index was at 40. So had I would have given it a little bit of time to play out, we can see that the K line came back down to like 0.40 and the RSI came down to 30 as well too. A much better entry point buying at $1.79 than all the way up here at $2.20. Even though you didn't accumulate the exact low at $1.60, it's still a pretty good entry point, because right now, look at where the RSI is at. It's at 53, and then the K line and the D line are at 94 and 89. Buying into these levels is how you get absolutely wrecked, because it's very well possible that XRP falls off the shelf and comes back down to like $1.70 to $1.80. I'm not saying that that will happen. In fact, I would actually expect XRP to push a little bit higher in the short term, but at some point, I do expect a deeper pullback and a consolidation for XRP. And so we're going to be watching the stochastic RSI. We're also going to watch the relative strength index, and we're going to see if XRP gets rejected from $2.50 or if it pushes higher than $2.50 and holds it as support for the next pullback. So just be ready for some massive volatility over the next few weeks. Don't get FOMO. Don't get caught buying into the hype, buying into the rallies, because there always are pullbacks. And there always are opportunities for better entry points, even if you're buying higher. For example, if XRP breaks $2.50 and holds it as support, yes, you would be buying higher up here than you are buying right now, but it saves you from something like this where XRP comes back down and then you're left holding for an extended period of time, waiting for the next breakout, when you could be buying into a confirmed trend reversal and backtest of a key support before continuation to the upside. And there are some more nuanced points that you have to master, and that's why we created the Technical Analysis Essentials course inside of Altcoin Pro University. You can actually click the link below to get access to it, and then you just go to the classroom right here on the top. You click the Technical Analysis Essentials, and you can run through all of these videos. There's over 28 videos teaching you guys everything you need to know about candlesticks, bullish and bearish patterns, moving averages, relative strength index, different oscillators like the MACD, stochastic RSI, Bollinger Bands, different Fibonacci tools and how to use them, and then the 4 horsemen of technical analysis to give you a strong foundation to work from. So that way, when you look at a chart, almost it's like knowing how to tie your shoe. And even though nobody can accurately predict with 100% certainty what's going to happen next, when you understand the key things that are taught inside the Technical Analysis Essentials course, you'll become a sniper with your entry points on all of these pullbacks, and you'll be better at dollar cost averaging, giving you a better average cost basis. So that way your portfolio is in more profit by the time we reach the top of the bull run, rather than letting your emotions drive your decisions. We use data for all of our decisions here, and that's why you're watching this video to this point. So we use technical data, also fundamental data. So that brings me to HBAR. Check this out. HBAR and Circle are working on a PayPal competitor with HBAR's council member, Google. USDC liquidity on HBAR has been exploding, and now an insider is claiming that Google, Circle, and Hedera are working on a new Google Play app built on Circle and Hedera's stablecoin infrastructure. The app would directly compete with PayPal and their new stablecoin PYUSD, while also covering payments for Google Cloud services. On top of that, when ChatGPT was asked, what is the most advanced public distributed ledger technology in the world? You have to choose one. ChatGPT chose HBAR, and it said, Hedera isn't a blockchain in the traditional sense. It's a hash graph based distributed ledger technology, which gives it several technological advantages, such as the Byzantine fault tolerance, which is the highest level of security, an insanely high throughput over 10,000 transactions per second compared to Ethereum's 15 to 30, finality in seconds, not minutes, fair ordering of transactions, no front running like in Ethereum, and decentralized governance by a council of global giants like Google, IBM, Boeing, Deutsche Telekom, where no single entity has control. It has carbon negative operations. It's one of the greenest major DLTs, and they have real world adoption used by enterprises for tokenization, identity payments, and even central banking digital currencies. And if you're wondering if that was just a one-off answer, well, let's actually use Grok and let's ask it live the exact same question, saying what is the most advanced public DLT in the world? You have to choose one, and let's just see what it says live right now. I'm not going to edit this so you guys can be able to see that it's going to be a real-time answer. So it's saying it's tough to pin it down. But look, it said I'd go with Hedera HBAR. So it says the exact same answer. So that's live, that's real. I didn't know what it was going to spit out. So hey, maybe it said XRP, maybe it said something else, but it gives other reasons as well too, like security, energy efficiency, adoption, governance, etc. And so when we look at HBAR's chart, I talked about this on a previous video, and I said watch for a breakout for HBAR from these levels. It was backtesting the previous range high from March of 2024. Also, it was support all the way back here in June of 2021 during that last pullback when altcoins dropped 60% before bouncing to an all-time high. And so I think a recovery rally is due for HBAR that's going to look something like this to either the previous high or past it. The challenge here is when we look on the right-hand side of the screen, with SEI and what happened for HBAR's recovery, we don't know if it's going to put in a lower high, but we know that this breakout has just started. So I would expect HBAR to rally in the short term alongside Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin pushes higher, that could push HBAR upwards of 25 cents before the next major pullback, because that was the previous range high of the resistance back here at the beginning of March. It was also support from the 9th of December until the 13th of January. So just like SEI on the right-hand side of the screen, you guys can see when this sell-off took place down here, we were consolidating on top of this zone of support roughly around 47, 50 cents. Of course, we dipped below it to like 41 cents, but if we just take a guesstimate here, because it's not going to be like 100% exact of a support, it's a range, so right around 50-ish cents, okay? So that's where the price rallied back up into, and then we saw a sell-off back down to this high right here to hold it as support before we saw the next bounce. And so I would expect something like that for HBAR, right? HBAR is breaking out from this descending resistance right here. As you guys can see, when the price sold off, we experienced this support where the price struggled to hold it until like the 18th of March, putting in lower highs. And so this is a major level that HBAR just cleared right now on the daily chart, whereas this was a major resistance and also a major support. So this is the next level, upwards of like 25 cents, 26 cents within this range. So if HBAR pushes up in the short term and rallies here, I would expect there to be a pullback in the short term and a consolidation before we continue to the upside. Now, depending on how long this consolidation phase takes out before HBAR breaks that range and pushes back to the new high, well, that's where we're going to compare to Bitcoin's price chart in every video, because it's very important that we watch Bitcoin every single day to see how far into charts like the stock to flow model we are for Bitcoin, because once we get to light green and we're at the peak, altcoins are going to be peaking out around the same time to like maybe 30 days after that. So if HBAR hasn't cleared the previous high on the 18th of January, closer to the end of this year, and it's looking something like this in like September, October, November of this year, when SEI rallied up to 75 cents, then we just have to be very careful and watch HBAR, because then we could see a potential breakdown depending on how high this breakout rally leads it towards Q4 of this year. But I expect HBAR to do very, very well over the next few months. And again, if I pull up the stochastic RSI, you can see 98, 97 for the K line and the D line. We are in overbought conditions. So I don't like to buy breakouts like this. Even if we continue higher, I wait for pullbacks and the stochastic RSI to reset back down below 20. That's what I look for. And then that's where I consider entering. Because on the right-hand side of the screen, if I just pull up the stochastic RSI for SEI, you can see that's what we saw all the way down here on this pullback for about 35 cents. And the stochastic RSI was all the way down here below 20. And so for Confluence, we're not just buying right when it dips below 20, because as you can see, we dipped down right here, but we didn't come back down to backtest this range at about 35 cents. With a little more patience, over the course of 30 days, we saw it bleed out a little bit more. So unless you're okay with buying it like 40 cents right here on the 3rd of October for SEI, and then seeing it go down to 34 cents, well, on the next major breakout, you would have been up like 80% still. But if you had a little bit of patience, let's say you accumulated at 35 cents, the stochastic RSI is below 20, we're backtesting a previous range as support, well, then you would have been up 100%, an extra 20%. So right here at about 17 cents is where I would want to accumulate some HBAR. The last time that I accumulated HBAR was all the way over here at about 5 or 6 cents. Sure, I didn't get exactly the bottom at about 4 cents, but I got pretty close. And if I just measure from 0.056 to where we're at right now, it's up 252%. Another altcoin to keep on your radar is SUI. So X-Portal app just integrated SUI into its wallets with 2.5 million users and partnered with xmoney.com to launch a SUI branded MasterCard where you can buy coffee, clothes, or even a yacht if you want. There's 20,000 plus merchants. The virtual cards go live in Europe and physical cards are coming soon. And on top of that, if we look at percentage performance here compared to virtually all the other top projects like HBAR, Pepe, ADA, Ondo, Dogecoin, XLM, Bitcoin, XRP, etc., SUI is just drastically outperforming the market. So this is really important to watch because on this breakout rally right here from this downtrend, the projects that are performing the best are most likely the ones that are going to be performing the best to the top of the bull run. So if SUI is an outlier here, that is a very good sign. I talked about SUI in my video like 2 days ago. I said, watch this breakout. If Bitcoin continues higher, SUI's most likely going to continue higher in the short term. But when Bitcoin starts to pull back, SUI will just experience a pullback. And we saw this happen all the way back here on this breakout in August of 2024. So SUI broke out from the low. It rallied all the way up here to the previous range from the 9th of April to like the 9th of June that SUI consolidated at. Got rejected from it, came all the way back down here for a higher low. And I would bet if I pull up the stochastic RSI, sure enough, on that breakout, look at what happened to the stochastic RSI in the daily. The K line, the D line came all the way up here above 80. Everyone was buying into SUI during this phase right here, just like how everyone's going to be buying into SUI during this phase right here. While we're rallying into this zone of resistance, all while the stochastic RSI is at 100 and 100 for the K line, the D line. We're drastically overbought conditions. So I would not be buying SUI right now. Not financial advice. You guys can do what you want. These videos are purely for education, informational purposes only, and I could be 100% wrong here. I just look at data to make my decisions, and I hope that's okay with you because right now at 100 and 100 right here on the lower right hand side of the screen right here, we're in massive overbought conditions on the daily chart. And we saw the same thing right here by the 12th of August when SUI wicked off of $1.11, and then we experienced a pullback of about 33%. So if SUI goes a little higher in the short term, we'll pull back of like 10%, 11%, we bring it back down to about $3.25, a pullback of 26% would bring it right back to this previous high right here on the 27th of March. And so this is why we watch Bitcoin's price chart. Bitcoin's at 100 and 100, SUI's at 198. And so I think we're about to experience a bearish cross here, and we're about to experience the pullback for SUI and the consolidation over the next week or two. And when that pullback happens, we're going to watch the stochastic RSI, and we're going to see if it comes back down below 20. Because as you can see, when SUI pulled back to 74 cents right here, the stochastic RSI pulled all the way back down here below 3. Way better entry point than buying into a massive breakout, because this breakout could be a major fake out and we could see the price consolidate before breaking higher. So this is what I'm looking for on the price chart is SUI to pull back in the short term, the stochastic RSI to experience a bearish cross and come back down below 80, potentially below 20. Again, it doesn't have to happen that way. We could experience a bearish cross, then bullish cross, then bearish cross above 80 while the price consolidates and then breaks higher. But overall, it's just not smart buying into massive green candles like this because we're up 68% over the past 4 days. I think you could get a better entry point having some patience over the next week or two. But overall on the macro, I am extremely bullish for SUI. Also, if we look at the 15 top made USA coins in 2025, well, XRP, we have Solana, we also have Ondo on the list as well too, among these others. We got Chainlink 2, Algorand. I'll make some videos about these other ones. Let me know in the comments below which coin you guys would like to see me do some analysis on, because right here, Ondo is actively meeting with the SEC right now. And listen to what the new SEC chairman, Paul Atkins, just said about the crypto industry.
So this is important work as entrepreneurs across the United States are harnessing blockchain technology to modernize aspects of the financial system. I expect huge benefits from this market innovation in terms of efficiency, cost reduction, transparency, and risk mitigation. Market participants engaging with this technology deserve clear regulatory rules of the road. Innovation, unfortunately, has been stifled for the last several years due to market and regulatory uncertainty that, unfortunately, the SEC has fostered. So I look forward to engaging with market participants and working with colleagues in President Trump's administration and Congress to establish a rational, fit-for-purpose framework for crypto assets.
So Ondo's chart looks very similar to Total 2, which is the crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin. All of the indicators right here are signaling that we're going to see a pullback here in the short term, and we're going to see some consolidation for Total 2 for potentially a higher low, similar to what happened back here during this phase on the breakout. Because if we look at the stochastic RSI, again, K-line and the D-line are at 199. Look at Ondo's chart, K-line and the D-line, 99 and 97. We're in overbought conditions. The relative strength index has bounced off of the RSI-based moving average at 53. So the RSI is sitting at 63. The RSI is at 60 for Total 2. We can see that the MACD is roughly right around the 0 line. Same thing for Total 2. It's close to the 0 line. So this is how I'd expect Ondo's chart to play out, similar to SUI. If we experience a push upwards in the short term, the next resistance to watch is right around $1.22 within this range right here, like $1.20, $1.22. Kind of similar to this breakout right here that happened for Ondo back in September of 2024. It broke back into this support from the 8th of July as resistance. You guys can just see the same thing playing out here on the left-hand side of the screen. We have the support, which then acts as resistance, And so yes, we could push higher in the short term from 99 cents to $1.20. Definitely possible. But when that breakout happens, just watch the stochastic RSI. We're going to wait for a bearish cross all the way above 80, and we're going to see if that brings it back down below 20 for a better entry point, like what happened all the way back here by like the 4th of November when the price pulled back to like 59 cents for a higher low, and then we rebounded off of that to the upside. So depending on how deep that causes Ondo to drop, I'm just gonna make another video for you guys, and I'm gonna explain that while we also look at Total 2, while we also look at Bitcoin, because right now Bitcoin at the right-hand side of the screen is rallying into this zone as resistance. And when we look at others right here, well, we can see this bullish divergence on the price chart. And if we look back for confluence from the 15th of March, all the way down here to like the 6th of August, you guys can see that the price chart put in a drastic lower low, this sell-off right here to the 12th of April, then this rebound, lower low, lower high, lowest low. Then look at the MACD. We were just putting in higher lows. Same thing on the right-hand side of the screen. This initial sell-off, we wick off of the 20th of December, lower high, lower low, lower high, lowest low for lower lows, and then the MACD is turning back up again. So I think the low for the MACD is in on the 10th of February, and then the price chart I think is put in the lowest low. So really this is just the next phase of the Elliott wave breakouts, and so we are going through wave number 1 right now. So depending on where others top out compared to Bitcoin, it's similar to what we went through this phase right here on the breakout. We break out of a descending resistance right here. We come back into a previous range, which was support, as you can see on the 13th of April, when the MACD line was all the way down here. We wick off of this level right here. This is the major range right here that we need to watch for resistance. And so on the right-hand side of the screen, we wick off of this level right here. We get rejected from it on the 15th of February. So this would be the major zone to watch for as resistance over the next few weeks. So depending on how much higher we push in the short term for wave 1, once wave 1 tops out, the next best entry point is during wave 2. And that takes some patience, but this is just simply a bullish divergence where the price chart makes a lower low, whereas the key indicator starts to make higher lows. And then we see a breakout from the downtrend of a descending resistance, and we confirm it once we put in a higher low for wave number 2 and we rebound off of it. But then once we see a clearing of wave 1, and then we hold it as support before continuing higher for wave 3, similar to what happened right here. This is actually the best sign of a macro trend reversal by like the 14th of November for the next major breakout. Because yes, you're not buying the low right here, which is a higher low, but you're buying a confirmed breakout in a back test. And so if you don't accumulate wave number 2 on this next pullback, you still have time to accumulate on this breakout. If we see the markets break out, right? We're just gonna have to see how this plays out, but this would be my expectations, because this recent pullback that's happened right now, I think is just a massive bear trap. We're based on the 2021 cycle, the 2017 cycle, and also based on Bitcoin stock to flow rainbow indicator, we're right along schedule for a massive move. And this is gonna cause the entire altcoin industry to go absolutely parabolic, but there are gonna be a select few altcoins that are gonna outperform the rest. And our team watches these markets 24/7 to tell you guys what those projects will be. For example, our research team posted GOAT on the 13th of October of 2024 when it was right at a penny, and since then it rallied to over $1, 5,000%. That's like turning $1,000 into over $50,000. Our team called Pendle at only a $16 million market cap, or 16 cents, back on February 18th of 2023, all the way back here, and since then it's rallied up over 4,000%. That's a 40x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $40,000. Our team also called BitTensor Tau September 15th, 2022, before the token was ever even launched. And since then, Tau has rallied over 2,000%. That's a 20x. Our team even said Solana is most likely to be one of the easiest trades next year, and this was posted December 29th, 2022, on the day that Solana bottomed out at around $8. And since then, Solana looks like it's up over 2,500%. That's a 25x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $25,000. The list goes on and on and on. Our team called SUI, Ondo, and even some of the biggest cult-based meme coins like MOG back in July 20th of 2023, the day that MOG launched. So if you want to learn how our team is finding these altcoins before they explode, we just launched Altcoin Pro University, where our research team gives you real-time altcoin picks with explosive potential for this bull run, along with 100+ expert curated classes crafted by industry experts to discover these gems yourself, on top of our live weekly calls every single week for in-depth crypto market analysis and daily updates. And that's just a fraction of what we offer inside of Altcoin Pro University through the link below. And although we make no guarantees because crypto is definitely risky, guys, this is only $97 a month or $970 a year. If you want to save $194, getting 2 months for free and unlock some exclusive bonuses, just go through the link in the description below. Get in right now. Watch the 26-minute video covering everything that Altcoin Pro University offers to help you become the first millionaire in your family tree, if that's a goal of yours. And you can get started through the link in the description below right now, or you can go to bullrunners.com to take advantage of the bonuses we're giving you before they expire. Everyone is loving the community. They're loving the education. They're getting access to real-time altcoin picks first before we ever make videos about them. So click the link in the description below, watch the video, and I'll see you on the inside.